If you don't want to be like everyone else, you have to make sacrifices that others are not willing to make. Today, I'm going to tell you how the rich businessman who became a multi-millionaire got rich, and a lot of it has to do with avoiding the 6 things I'm going to share today. The first thing to avoid is working only for money. Imagine for a moment that you find a boring but well-paying job. As your earnings increase, you quickly start to accumulate a nice nest egg. Your family and friends will probably be proud of you, but over time your earning potential will start to stagnate. This is path A. Imagine instead that you find a challenging but low-paying job. You may struggle for a few years as you develop and adapt, but imagine what happens if you don't. You might struggle to pay bills or rent. Your family will probably start to complain that you are falling behind, but over time your earning potential will start to outstrip Ruth's. This is path B. What is the difference between these two examples? Path A prioritizes money in the beginning, while Path B prioritizes 2 key things: skills and equity. 85% of millionaires followed Path B on their own because it is the only way to build this kind of wealth. This businessman left school at the age of 16 with no qualifications and started looking for a job, and in fact he was offered more than 5 opportunities. So he had to make a decision. He asked himself, which one should I choose? He decided to become a carpenter's apprentice. Maybe the pay was not very good, but he knew that the skills he would learn would be extremely valuable, so he prioritized them. The job taught him a lot. Even though he was forced to quit after being relentlessly bullied by his manager, he used many of these skills to sell his own product. The main goal here is to evolve without giving up. How can you invest when you're young? Today, he recommends prioritizing online-based high-income skills such as copywriting, video editing, and coding. He thinks that the demand for these skills is growing and that there is a skills gap. Of course, there are plenty of people doing these jobs, but 99% of them are not up to standard. To be honest, your competitors are really not that tough. Now let's move on to the second thing, capital. This just means owning a percentage of a business so you can benefit from the profits. You can get capital in a few different ways. The most obvious way, and the way the businessman used to use it, was to start the business himself. But if you are extremely skilled in certain areas, you can also get it by working for it. This is called sweat capital. Finally, you can buy capital in certain businesses, but he doesn't recommend it unless you have the skills that can help move that business forward. People are working to start their own business or asking their bosses for capital, so you need to be self-aware. First, it is valuable to work for someone to gain skills before starting your own business. Second, you need to be realistic. If you were an apprentice carpenter who didn't think for a moment that you would get capital in your carpentry business, but you want it, make sure you have a solid rationale for why you deserve it and how you can add value to the business instead of just taking it. First, focus on being someone worthy of capital. The key takeaway here is that too many people are blinded by money and forget the importance of skills and capital. This is the biggest trap. The more you are obsessed with just making money, the less you will earn in the long run. The second thing to avoid is buying a luxury lifestyle. Imagine yourself driving around Dubai in a bright yellow Lamborghini. You go to your villa and you eat steak. Just imagining this lifestyle makes you feel quite successful. But the reality is that most people who live this way are far from successful. The majority take out loans and pay for cars they can't afford or move to another country. This may make you look rich, but you will end up in debt. So stop all this bragging, because it's much easier to impress others on social media than it is to build real wealth. And seeing people living this luxury lifestyle can encourage you to start playing the bragging game because you think everyone else is living a better life than you. In fact, 37% of Americans can't afford unexpected expenses over $400. 39% worry they won't be be able to pay their bills, and 60% of American households can't afford a new car. Once you've made millions, you can buy whatever you want, but you can't live like a king and build wealth early on at the same time. Instead of buying depreciating items like flashy cars, buy designer clothes and eat at expensive restaurants. Invest in assets like stocks, cryptocurrency, and real estate. The third thing to avoid is doing everything yourself. You can be really good at what you do, but no matter how hard you try, you will never outperform a talented group of people working together. Look at people who have made it big in sports or business. If you do a little research, you'll find that they all had help. Take Elon Musk as an example. On the surface, he may look like a genius entrepreneur who has done it all on his own, but this is far from the truth. He was part of the group that founded PayPal. These nouveau rich technologists went viral. Names like YouTube, Yelp, and SpaceX often invest in and advise each other's projects. But if you're not aiming to build the next billion-dollar company and instead want to make a little extra money on the side hustle, many former business owners are a little lost when it comes to all things tech-based and using the internet for their companies. So many of them don't even know that there are online tools for everything like managing your team, managing invoices, keeping track of projects, or even setting up a website. Big advantage for young people. So if these older business owners don't know how to do a lot of this online stuff and understand that they can't do everything themselves, guess who needs you? You can help them bring their business into the 21st century and make a lot of money in the process. The fourth thing to avoid is having too many inputs. Do you ever feel pulled in different directions? This happens with everything in life, from side jobs to fitness training. Everyone has a different idea of what you should focus on. It can be a bit like this. This is you, and these are the people who are telling you what they think you should focus on for the sake of simplicity. All these inputs create hundreds of paths that you can follow, like becoming a doctor, becoming an entrepreneur, joining the family business, finding a stable 9-to-5 job, traveling, and starting a family. Let's call these your potential paths. This is the multiplicity of pathways. Pathways can create something called cognitive overload, which is when your brain cannot cope with the overwhelming amount of information and options. She didn't know exactly what she wanted to do in the future, but she was confident. The clearer your goal, the easier it is to choose the right inputs to help you achieve it, he said. So limit the number of views you receive and prioritize quality over quantity. Most people get a lot of opinions, but not from experts. Forget general opinions and seek expert advice. You can listen to a mentor who is successful in your field or watch training videos from experts. By doing this, you will get more valuable, focused, and specific guidance for your end goal. Remember, you don't need to know everything at once, even when you work backwards. Listen and apply exactly what you learn from one input. If you don't do this, you will experience mental fatigue that can lead to your inability to take action or move forward. Some people may perceive this as laziness, but in reality, your brain is overwhelmed. The fifth thing to avoid is to be ego-driven. Let me start by saying this. Arrogant people will not even finish this video. They think they already know everything. Arrogance blinds you to opportunities that can really change your life. Ego-driven people are often too focused on the big picture. They constantly dream of the end goal. This may seem productive, but it is a dangerous trap when you are always looking too far ahead. You lose sight of the small but important steps that lead to real success. For example, some may be inclined to scroll through this video just to see 7 things instead of sitting down and absorbing the information in each one. But by doing so, they miss valuable insights that could accelerate their journey. When you are too egotistical, especially when you may know more than you do, you may disregard the wisdom of people who have already walked the path you are trying to walk. But the truth is that true wealth is not just about being confident. It's about having the humility to keep learning to realize that you don't know everything. And that's where the real growth happens. The more you learn, the more you realize how much you don't know. It's called the iceberg principle. What you know is just the tip of the iceberg. That's what really matters. In short, arrogance is a silent wealth killer. It convinces you that you are too good to learn, too smart to listen, and too important to take small steps towards greatness. The sixth thing to avoid is blame shifting. One of my favorite Chinese proverbs is that the man who blames others has a long way to go. The man who blames himself is halfway there. The man who blames no one is already ahead of him. I have two objects in life, a magnifying glass and a mirror. You will have to choose to reach for one of them on a daily basis. You might think Mark is crazy, but let me explain. If you choose to get a magnifying glass, it gives you the ability to hyper-focus on other people, which is a dangerous path, because it leads to the blame game. I'm sure there have been times when you blamed your teacher for a test you failed, or you blamed the traffic for being late, even though you spent more time watching Bing and actually studying. But the thing is that these small instances of blame don't stay small over time. They become a habit that is hard to break. For example, you can say that I am not rich enough to start a business and life has not given me the right opportunities, but that won't help. But if you pick up the mirror and try to find solutions, you will focus on the things that you can control your own thoughts and actions. All you have to do is step out of your comfort zone and take action. Crush your current limitations. This is the end of the video. Subscribe and like if you liked my video. See you soon.